Hey guys, so I had a lot of requests on if I had videos on how I do these redesign with Prima molds. I have a bunch of them here, and I am working on this jewelry cabinet that I'm going to put molds on each side and wrapped around the front. So I'm doing a whole bunch of molds here. Now I'm going to show you guys how I do these. So basically, you're going to grab your cornstarch, just regular cornstarch. Take a nice fluffy brush, put some cornstarch on it, and just dust the molds that you're going to use. Make sure you get it all over. This will stop the paper clay from sticking. That's what I'm using right now, is the Creative paper clay. Really easy to work with. It gives you a more distressed look because the clay will sometimes crack, or it doesn't look perfect usually. So this is going to give you a more worn, aged look. If you want perfect, then epoxy or resin would be the way to go, but you can't put that like around edges or anything rounded because it's not very pliable. So once you dust it, I like to take some of it off, any loose cornstarch, okay, and then grab your paper clay, just a big chunk. I'm going to do pretty much this whole mold except for the little sticks. So I'm going to have a good amount of paper clay, and you just kind of warm it up a bit. Okay, and then take little bits and just press it down into the mold. Now, if you have a lot of cornstarch on here, it's not going to stick into the mold, and you're going to have issues with it popping back up as you press it down. Just try to keep pressing it down and don't let it pop up. And then as you're doing that and you're getting it to the edges, go ahead and peel off the extras. You don't want all this extra here. So as you press down, you're just going to push that extra out. Make sure it's nice and even all the way across. And then you can just make sure that the edges are crisp. If you have any that's sticking over, take it out or push it back into the mold. Looks pretty good, pretty even. I don't have anything sticking on the edges. Okay. And now you're going to flip it over and peel up the mold. Just kind of press it down a little bit and help it along. And there you go. That is your molded flower. And then what I'll do here is I flip it over and I get my wood glue, put a paintbrush in the wood glue, and then I'm going to put glue on the entire back. Carefully brush it on. You want to get the edges good, but don't gunk it up all around the edges because then it's going to ooze out when you go to press it down, and then you're going to have to clean up the glue all on the edges. You don't want to do that. Doing. Now I'm just going to press it on overlapping this other flower. So it's laying on top of that flower, and then just gently press it down and make sure that the entire thing is adhered to the furniture. And then I like to, whatever brush that I used for the cornstarch, I'll go back here and I'll try to brush off any of that excess glue that has oozed out, because you don't want that showing. Now this clay usually takes about 24 hours or so to dry. I'll usually paint after, I'll paint them after about 12 hours, because you'll see like the edges start to get dry and hard. Like, you hear that? That's a hard, the mold is hard now. So I can go ahead and paint that, and I did this one late last night. So it's only been drying for about 12 hours or so. And then I could go ahead and paint that. But these ones that I just put up, when they're still wet like that, I don't paint them until they're at least semi-hard. And then if you have any pieces that are sticking up, be careful when you paint them, because you don't want that to chip off. That's happened to me before. Alright, so that one's adhered really well. Sometimes if you see that it's sliding, too much glue or whatever, and it's not staying in place, you can either lay the piece down, or you can put a piece of tape over it and just tape it on there so it's held on there. And then, you know, after 12 hours or so, take the tape off. All right, then once everything dries, I will paint it all and show you guys how I do that, and use the Frensheen. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Hey guys, I'm back. I'm going to go ahead and do some painting on the molds. I'm going to use, this is Frenchic Furniture Paint. It's the color Stormy. It's a really pretty color. It's the color that you see here. It has like a purplish color, a lilac, lavender to it. It even has a bit of a gray tint if you have it next to something that's more gray. If you have it in a room with blues, it's going to look more blue. It's that kind of color. And so I'm going to go ahead and use that base color. Now, before I did the molds, I thought I was just going to do this plain and just, you know, do a quick sale on this one. But then I decided I wanted to go ahead and add some molds to it. So I had already had this dry brushed, and, you know, I got the little bit of the ivory tower on there. So I'm going to have to paint this whole door again, but it's not a big deal. It's a smaller piece. Now the molds are pretty much dry. They're still a little wet in the middle, but it's not a big deal. They can, you know, as long as the edges are dry and nothing's going to chip off, you'll be fine. So using your base color, you're just going to go over and paint your molds. Very, very simple. You know, these molds, they definitely have a lot of little details, like cracks and creases. So you want to make sure you get some paint in all those. You don't want any of the paper clay showing. Just definitely get in there. I do also use a detailed brush for these, so that I can get into those cracks easier. So I'll show you that now. It's just one of these little brushes, and I like to do the sides with these. It's much easier to do that. And now with the middle, I'm going to go over just the tops of these with some Frensheen, probably in gold, and just highlight these molds, just like I did with the pumpkins. I've actually done a wood board just like this, and you can put these molds on anything. They're so versatile and they're so fun to play around with and do different things with them. So that's pretty much it. You'll go ahead and paint all of the molds, and then once it dries, then we'll work on the Frenchie. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done, get everything painted, and then I'll be back with the Frenchie. Okay guys, this is the last part of my video showing you how I do the Redesign with Prima molds using the paper clay. So now is the last part where I use the Frenchic's product called Frensheen. This stuff is a mineral pigment. It's extremely pigmented. You can see how shimmery that is. Has great color, and it's a really versatile product. You can use it many different ways. My favorite way is doing the gorgeous gold and the sexy silver, putting these two together to make a more muted gold, kind of like a champagne color, really. That's my favorite color to do. That's what I have here. That's what I mostly use. And I do that by mixing the two gorgeous gold and the sexy silver together. And then I add finishing coat. This is Frenchic's top coat. It is very durable, it's water-based, cleans up really easy, and holds up really well. So since you're mixing it with the finishing coat, the metallic glaze does not need to be sealed. You can also mix the Frencheen with wax. You can mix it with paints that I've done before to give a subtle shimmer to my paint. You know, there's a lot of different ways that you can use it. And it comes in the gold, the silver, bronze, copper, and green. And then of course by mixing colors, you get more colors. I'm on a mixing kick right now. I love mixing colors and seeing what I can get. So that's my favorite way to do it, is mix it with the finishing coat, silver and gold mixed together. It's my favorite. And then for this one, I actually used more finishing coat than normal. I wanted it to be a very soft, muted color. I didn't want it to be really bright. So I used more finishing coat than normal. And so when you do that, it's going to be more liquidy. It's not going to be as thick as it should be. Okay, so then you're just going to use one of these little brushes. I like it flat, and then if it's a little bushy, that's perfect. Put a little bit on your brush. And then just over the raised parts of the mold, you're going to go over brushing it. And you can see how it just adds that subtle shine to the raised areas of these molds. It's very easy to do, and it's a great way to add that dimension and depth and a focal point more to your piece. Very, very easy. And then if you get some on the paint, you can just go over and touch up the areas that you do not want the Frencheen. And again, the Frencheen, it's easy to clean up, easy to use. You can use it in so many different ways. And the one container lasts quite some time. I've been working on the same one now for a few months. And I use it quite often. Anytime you see metallics on my pieces, it's Frencheen. Okay, and that's pretty much it. That's how I get this look. I'll put the video together and I'll get it up, and then I will stage this piece once I have it all finished. and then you guys can see what this piece looks like finished. Alright guys, thanks for watching.